طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So welcome to the 355 Computer Networks course. My name is Amr Muhammad, and I'm professor in the Computer Science and Engineering Department since 2007. I received my Master and PhD from Canada, and I came to Qatar University in 2007. And my area of specialty is around networking and communication, particularly wireless networking and communication. So this is the first introductory course to computer networks, and today I'm going to talk about the syllabus. And to me, the syllabus is actually the contract between the instructor and the student. So it's very important. So this is to explain how the course is going to go from now until the end of the semester. So the course, as I said, is an introductory course to computer networks. So basically, the course covers what networks are, how they work, what are the concepts, important concepts in networks, like what protocols are and how they work and so on. And then we are going to divide the network functionality into 5 different layers. Okay? The 5 different layers are going to be covered in different weeks throughout the course, starting from what we call the network access layer, which is subdivided into physical layer and data link layer. So we'll talk about all these concepts, just giving you some heads up. And then we're going to talk about the network layer, transport layer, application layer, and so on. So that's how this is what's actually described here. So these are the important standards and protocols that we are going to talk about, like TCP, IP, UDP, and so on. And these protocols are actually divided amongst the different networking layers, starting from the physical layer all the way to the application layer. The course this year is slightly different from previous years because the lab is actually embedded into the course. So we will see that this will be reflected on the assessment criteria, the percentages assigned to each of the assessments that we are going to talk about. For textbooks, I'm not sure if some of you have already tried to access Blackboard, but if you try to access Blackboard now, you will see most of the material of the course are already posted. And because we have actually taught the course with the exact same material in the last 2-3 years, so we have reached in a mature stage, and most of the material are actually ready. So you can download not just the textbook, but all the material from Cisco, from Blackboard. It's just a zip file that you can extract, and the way that you can display it is to use any browser other than Google Chrome. So if you try to use Firefox or I'm not sure if it works on the Microsoft Explorer, the Web Explorer, but Firefox for sure it works. And if you open the material, it's just extract it in and open the file, which is called index.html. It's like any web page. So if you open this file, you will see all the material, all the chapters. Okay? And I advise you to get to this material as soon as possible. It includes everything in great details. Not only that, it actually includes all the animations, all the videos and stuff like that. So it can give you a very good idea about the course content. If you have this material, this is the main reference that I want you to use. It's too detailed, and we are going to talk throughout the course about most of this material. Anything that we do not cover in the class, you are not asked to know anything about it. Anything that's covered in the class, even if it's not in the material. I'm going to give you like some external reference that you can look at, but it will be included in the course. So, but this is the main reference. This material is actually the main reference. Some of the students, they still need to look at a book, at like a hard copy thing. So you are welcome to buy this book from the library. It's available. But to me, if you have the online material, you don't need the book, because everything is included in this online material, and it's provided to you for free on Blackboard. Okay? So as I said, some external references that I may actually hand out to the students, in which case you can refer to these external references whenever we talk about a concept that's not included in the main reference. The course learning outcomes are divided into two things. The theory part, those two learning outcomes, again, they are related to the course technical content. As I said, the basic concepts of network, how they work, and then the different layers. So this talks about the basic concepts, and this talks about the different layers. The other two learning outcomes are related pretty much to, most of it actually related to the lab. So we in the lab, you will get introduced to some networking tools like Wireshark, like some of the Cisco tools that you can use it to emulate the functionality of a switch and a router, and you will be able to write some commands and interact with the switches and routers and so on. And then this learning outcome talks about working in groups towards like a course project, and this will be part of the lab completely. And I'm going to talk about how the grade is going to be divided now. So in the lab, you will be divided into groups, and you will be given a project, a small project, like a big network topology that you will be asked to design from scratch and plan all the IPs and so on, and set up all the tools and things like that. So it's an emulation to a network that exists in reality, and you will be able to interact with the switches and routers and hosts and so on, and configure all of them and make sure that they can communicate with each other and so on. So that's part of the lab. So this is like a course mapping. This is an ABIT stuff, so you don't have to worry about them. So this is the topics that will be covered. As I said, the first two items, they talk about basic concepts in networking, and we are going to, starting from Tuesday, inshallah, we are going to start the first part, and then the second part, network protocols and communication. So protocols are the most important basic concept in networking. So as part of this topic, you will get introduced to the layered model of the network, how the network functionality is divided into layers. It's like in computer programming, you divide the application into functions, right? So in network functionality, we divide it into layers, and we're going to talk about why layers and what is the benefit of using this layered model and so on. And then after talking about these layers, we're going to go through the layers one by one and talk about all the protocols related to this layer in details. So starting from the network access layer, Ethernet network layer, transport layer, and so on. So these are the different layers, all the way to the application layer. Okay? So that's how the course is divided. So you can think of this as the root of the tree, and then we're going to go through all the branches or all the layers one by one in details. Okay? Any questions, feel free to interrupt. Okay? So these are the different topics. So now the most important part, which is the course assessment. Again, starting this year, the lab is embedded, so the lab grade is embedded into the course assessment criteria, and it's assigned 30%. So it's a very significant part of the course. The other 70% are divided as follows. So you have 2 assignments. You have the midterm is 20%. There could be a slight change between the assignment and the midterm. In the assignments, we have 2 assignments. We may actually cancel one of them, depending on the ABIT assessment, because one of these assignments are targeted towards the ABIT assessment. We do it, quite frankly, just to fulfill the ABIT assessment, even though it's a little bit, it's slightly irrelevant to the course, but we just have to do it to fulfill the ABIT assessment. And that's why it's my intention to actually try to remove it. However, sometimes I fail to remove it because the ABIT committee, they ask us that we have to offer this assignment in order to fulfill the ABIT assessment. So depending on how this will go, we may actually cancel one of the assignments, in which case the assignments are going to be only 1, and it's going to be assigned a weight of 5%, and the other 5% are going to move to the midterm. So the midterm is going to be 25%. So that's the slight change that might happen. Other than that, everything else is finalized. طيب, quizzes. Okay, as you can see, the number of quizzes is high. And I'm going to talk about why. Every week we have a quiz. Starting from next Sunday, we have a quiz. And I'm going to talk about why. Yeah, this Sunday, we're going to have a quiz.
Every Sunday from each week?
Every Sunday of each week, yeah. Well, sometimes based on very cruel circumstances, we can delay it to Tuesday based on agreement, but normally it's Sunday. And I'm going to talk about why. And this is not to, again, some students, they panic once they see this. This is not the first time we do this. We did it in the last 3-4 years. And as you can see, we have 12 quizzes, and they are assigned 10%. Some people, they see that as not fair. Okay, but I'm going to talk about why we need to do it this way. The quizzes, by the way, are just 3 questions or 4 questions, multiple choice. And they usually take about 3-4 minutes. And the reason for the quizzes is because of the fact that the course teaching method is based on flipped classroom. Any one of you aware of flipped classroom? No one has tried it before in any other course? Okay, so about 4 years ago, we decided to change the method of teaching of this course to follow the flipped classroom. So what is flipped classroom? So flipped means that instead of the traditional way of the instructor walking in, starting to talk about the material, and it's like this, it's one-to-many broadcast thing, and then we have midterm and we have fight. The traditional way, the flipped classroom works in a totally different way. So what happens is that I'm going to give you 3 small videos to watch before the lecture. Okay? And in fact, the first 3 videos are already posted on YouTube. And if you go to Blackboard, you will see the link. If you go to this link, the link for the what we call offline recordings. So you will see the link for the offline recordings. If you click on this link, it will take you to YouTube. I actually advise all the students to subscribe to this channel. Because if you subscribe to this channel, you'll realize that All the courses I have taught in the last 7 years are, in fact, posted on YouTube. And they are free for you to access whenever you want. Grad courses, undergrad courses, master, PhD courses, all the courses I've taught are already posted on YouTube. And you can listen to any course material you want at your free time. And in fact, you will see all the videos from previous years for this particular course. So some students, they like to get ahead of others. So feel free to just go back to the playlists from last year or the year before and listen to all the videos if you want at your free time. But you will, if you click on this link on Blackboard, it will take you to the playlist of this year, and you will see only 3 videos. And I did that just not to confuse the students and give you a bunch of videos all at once, and then you start to get confused. Which ones are the ones that I should listen to for the quiz, and so on and so forth. So you will see only 3 videos. Each video is about 15 minutes, 18 minutes maximum. So you will be asked to watch these videos before Sunday. Okay? So this will give you some idea about what we will talk about. And you will see that these videos actually are, they explain the material in details. And in later chapters, you will see that I actually go through all the exercises in the material, and I solve everything, and so on and so forth. The first year we have actually prepared this. It was a huge effort, and you will see that I added some animations to it, and some zooming, and some whiteboarding, and so on and so forth. So I hope you will appreciate the effort that has been done to make these videos happen. So if you watch these videos, this will give you some idea about the material that we are going to talk about in the class. So this is the first step. So the first step is for the students to watch the videos. Okay? So of course, the second step, I have to verify that you have watched the videos. Okay? And the only way to verify that you have actually watched the videos is to do a simple quiz. As I said, it's just 3-4 questions on Sunday. And if you watch the videos, you will find the quiz very easy. And then once we finish the quiz, then the lecture will be run in a different way. I rely on the fact that you have some idea about the material. So what I'm going to do is that on Sunday, I'm going to talk about the first video. Okay? I'm going to give some briefing about the video in about 10 minutes. 10-15 minutes. Okay? Then we will have about like half an hour or more or less in the lecture. So the lecture are going to be divided into activities. So I'm going to give you some activity. I'm going to ask you to work on these activities in groups. Okay? So you cannot work alone. You have to work with at least one other student. If you work on the activities, you try to go through the activity and solve it. And I'm going to help you, of course. I'm going to go around and help you with that. And then we are going to, at the end, solve the activity all together on the whiteboard. Okay? So at the end, you will know the final solution of this activity. And then we will move to another activity and so on. Okay? And then on Tuesday, I'm going to, give some briefing at the beginning about the second video and so on. So that's how the flipped classroom actually works. So based on previous years, the students, and actually some of the students that we have taught in previous years, they are now in the master level, and we did some interviews with them. They said that we have never reached to that level of in-depth understanding to the material like what we did in computer networks and all the other courses that have tried the flipped classroom in the right way. Because what happens is that when you watch the videos, at least you get to مثلا 20, 30, 40% level of understanding to the material. When we come to the class with this briefing, that reaches to at least 60% or 70%. And with the activities, you reach to a level of understanding to the material that you have never experienced before. And not only that, in the exam, especially in the midterm and the final, you will see that working on these activities in hand has made your life much, much, much easier. Because you will see the questions that you have seen before. Not only that, you have tried to solve before in class, and you have got some help from your colleague or from the instructor on how to solve these activities, and you see these activities straightforward in the exam, so it becomes much easier. However, to do this, I appreciate and I realize that it requires a little bit more effort from the student. So that's how the flipped classroom actually runs. Abroad they try this method, but they never provide any videos or anything. And I cannot do that. If I do that, I know that all the students will complain. But these videos actually, you will find them very easy to, I hope you will find them very useful and very easy to get the idea of the material. Some students, they still have some resistance, and they especially in the beginning, they don't actually get used very fast to this new method, and they usually have some feedback that we should really go back to the traditional method and so on and so forth. So what we have tried to do is that we will design like a survey, a small survey, usually towards the 40% or 50% of the course. We will post this survey and ask the students to give their feedback about the experience in the previous few weeks. And I can tell you that in all the previous years, the level of acceptance to the method reaches 99%. Okay? So in the beginning, you will find that it requires a little bit more effort. And I hope you can try to do this effort now, because if you don't get used to it now, close to the midterm, you will find it hard, because you have lots of other things that put some pressure on you, so you will not, don't try to get used to it very late towards the midterm, and then you will find it very hard. But try from now to really embrace that method, watch the videos, come prepared to on Sunday, do the quiz, and so on. So try it now, spend a little bit more effort now, and you will see that it really pays off later on. Once you get used to this, even during midterm times and during the crunch time, خلاص, you got used to it, so you know what's going on. So luckily this time, because of the fact that the lab is embedded, we have only one midterm. In previous years, we used to have 2 midterms. So this time we decided to remove one midterm because of the 30% that's assigned to the lab. So regarding the quizzes, I don't want you again to take it as a miserable life thing, because it's we try to design it in such a way that it's not really that threatening. So again, the weight is only 10%, and we take the best 8 out of 12. And the reason for this is actually multifold. On one hand, we want to give you more flexibility, that maybe 1 or 2 weeks you won't have time and you won't watch the videos and so on. So you may come on Sunday, it's too much pressure, I did not have time to watch the videos and stuff like that. So you feel very sad. So that's not a problem. You have the flexibility maybe once or twice not to come prepared on Sunday, that's fine. And hopefully through the briefing that happens at the beginning or through the activities, you will be able to catch up and cope with the other students. The other reason is that, as you can see, because of the large number of quizzes, we can never repeat this quiz. So I don't want anyone to ask me to repeat the quiz. It can never happen. Okay? I cannot have 30 different quizzes and 2-3 different quizzes about each different part of the course. That cannot happen. So again, this will give you some chance that if you have some personal issues and you cannot come on Sunday, or you have any family issues and stuff like that, so that's also accommodated in the 4 different quizzes difference. So we will count the 10% based on the best 8. واضح كده؟ So this gives you some room of flexibility. So we have 1 midterm and the final exam. The final exam weight is also reduced, which many students, they find it good. That if you slack a little bit in the final exam, it will not be the end of life. Okay, so any questions so far? So again, the flipped classroom is a new method that we tried to do about 4 years ago, and it actually, we can see that the effect is really good. Many students, they come towards the mid time of the course, and they start to ask about the following courses or Network 2, especially if you're computer engineering students. You normally go through Network 2 after this course, and they always ask me to change the Network 2 teaching method to flipped classroom as well. But that did not happen so far, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately to some students. But because of the effort that we had to do from the beginning to convert this course to flipped classroom. Quite frankly, I did a presentation to the department, and although I got very good appreciation from the department, from the college, and awards and so on because of this, but many colleagues, they told me we can never do that because of the effort. So you will see that probably when you start to watch the video, you will see that there is a huge amount of effort that's put in these videos to come out this way. So we have offline recordings which you will be asked to watch before Sunday, as I said. And the lecture itself is also captured. Capturing the lecture is for your record later on. Okay, so you will find 2 links in Blackboard. One for offline recordings, which you need to watch before Sunday, and the other one is for the lecture capture, which records all the activities that we do in class, the briefing and everything. So everything that we do in class is also captured on YouTube, so that you can look at it at your free time. However, okay, this is supposed to be, for the benefit of the students. For some students, not all students, some students, they abuse this a little bit. So they say, okay, so I can listen to the lecture at my free time later on. So why bother and attend the class? Okay, so that's naturally what will come to mind to some students after a few weeks. They look at the lecture capture and they find it as it's good, captures most of the things that we have done in class, so why bother and attend the class? So we cannot accommodate this. So in previous years, what we have done is that if we find the attendance in the class is low, then I stop recording the lecture. And to let you know, if I stop recording the lecture, this means that this lecture, this particular lecture, is one of the most important lectures in the course. Which means that the students who attended that lecture, they get very special privilege. And in the exam, I'm gonna focus on this lecture in putting the questions. And again, this is just to allow the students to take the class attendance seriously. I mean, in addition to what the college actually puts as a rule, if your absence is more than 20% or 25%, then you automatically don't attend the final, and so on and so forth. This is a scary thing, but for the lecture capture, we also need to make sure that the attendance of the class is normal. So if I find that the attendance is low, and quite frankly, this happens particularly towards the time of the midterm, okay? So automatically, if I find that some students, they start to get absent and they rely on the fact that the lecture is captured, then I stop actually capturing the lecture. Okay? So we need to take this attendance a little bit seriously, and actually you will find that your attendance is important because, again, for this method to be successful, you need to interact with other students, you need to interact with the instructor. You will find that the lecture is actually very interactive. It's not based on one direction like what I'm doing now. It has some interaction. You will interact with other students, you will interact with the instructor, you'll be able to ask me how I can solve this activity and so on. Okay? Any questions? Okay, so we have the offline recording, we have the lecture capture that you can take a look at later on. So today, obviously, we're not going to cover we're not going to start covering the material. Starting from Tuesday, we are going to start with the first chapter of the course. And the first chapter actually talks about the impact of network in our life. Okay, so it's a motivational introduction that talks about the impact of networking on our way of life, how the network actually affected our way of going to work, affected our household activities, affected our learning experience, and so on and so forth. So this is the motivational part. And of course, because of the fact that I did not give you any videos before, the first week, and during the first week, it will be a traditional way. So on Tuesday, I'm going to cover the first part as normal. And then starting from Sunday, as I said, I'm going to give you a small quiz that will verify that you have watched the 3 videos on YouTube. And the link is on Blackboard. مفهوم كده? Any confusion, anything? So what you need to do now, go to Blackboard, look at the material, look for the link that says offline recording, click on it, get to the videos. If you need to subscribe to the channel, go ahead, look at the 3 videos, look at all the material from previous years and so on. Okay? And then prepare for Sunday. Okay? But on next Tuesday, we're going to start the first chapter, and it's going to be normal, traditional way. And after this chapter, starting from chapter 3, we're going to flip the class. Chapter 2 is obviously covered in the lab, so we don't have to cover it. It's totally covered in the lab. Okay? So chapter 1 we'll cover it in class, traditional way. Chapter 2 is covered in the lab, and then chapter 3, we're going to start it on Sunday. Any question?
Yes, sir.
Please.
What platform do you use?
What is?
Platform.
Platform, you mean like operating system on the... okay. Yeah, you mean for the quiz or...
لا يعني بسوي أي simulation بالlecture
No, not simulation. In the lab, they will teach you probably at least two networking tools. A packet tracer from Cisco. Packet tracer is not a simulation, it's an emulation tool. There is a small difference between emulation and simulation. So for emulation, you can interact with the devices, so you can put like a switch or a router, and then open this switch and work on it, write some commands, and the switch interacts as if it's a practical normal switch. So it emulates all the functionality of switches and routers, and you will be able to interact with this as a software. Okay? So this is one important tool. The other tool is Wireshark, and for Wireshark you use it for tracing the networking messages. So you will be able to sniff and see all all what's being communicated over the cables or the wireless. So you'll be able to open Wireshark and see all the packets, all the information that is being sent back and forth between different users. Okay, so we call that network sniffing. So these two tools at least, and maybe some other tools as well. Yeah, one thing I forgot to say is that the quiz is actually online. That's why I thought that you were asking about the platform. The quiz is actually online. Because of obvious reason, of course, I'm not gonna print 60 or 90 different papers every week and then give it to the TA to mark. So any TA who gets this assignment will put his resignation next day. It's a huge load. So instead, what we do, again, I take back this load, and I design the quizzes online, and it will be auto-graded. So feel free to bring your laptops. If you forgot your laptops, you can use the phone. You can use any device, on your cell phone, on your laptop, tablet, anything. Okay.
The things that are given in the lab are included for the lectures.
Yes. So yeah, as I said, the lab this year is embedded. So I had to actually meet with all the lab instructors prior to the class, and we have agreed on this 30% and how the 30% is going to be divided. And we have actually consolidated some assessments between the lab and the lecture. I think this is for the benefit of the students. So, for example, in the lab, they used to give many assignments. They used to give midterm and final and project and so on. It's as if it's a standalone course, even though it has only 1 credit. Okay? And again, for us, because of the fact that the lab is separate, we used to, again, offer assignments, 2 midterms, in addition to the quizzes and final and so on and so forth. So it's a standalone course. It's a 3 credits. So now that the lab is embedded, we have designed it this way, and you will see that the assessments for the lab has been reduced, and the assessment here has been reduced. So, for example, here we have only 1 midterm, and we may be able to cancel one of the assignments. In the lab, you will find no assignments, only 4 different small quizzes, and final and project. That's it. Okay? It used to be much more than that, and here we used to have more assessments. So we have been able to consolidate some of these assessments, which I hope is for the benefit of the students. Okay, so it's a good question. Any other questions? So everything is clear? Of course not. If you tell me everything is clear, it will be a lie. I know that, again, it's you have been overwhelmed today with lots of information, and some of you have probably panicked. That's a huge thing, and we have a big thing ahead of us, and so on and so forth. But again, I mean, I don't want you to panic, and you will see that things will go smoothly, inshallah, because this is not our first time to run this course. This is like fourth or fifth time we run this course, so we know what we're doing. Of course, it's the first time there were some issues, some glitches. We have fixed that. So I hope that we have reached a mature state that you will find it smooth, inshallah. Okay.